31. I'm speaking as a member of the silent majority. In the interest of full disclosure, I am related to the Energy Project as a U.S. Salt employee, and in fact one who routinely deals with the brine field and knows the situations of the wells and cavities there. The current maps and cavity drawings that we use have been prepared by a drafter under both my and others' guidance, for instance. I have now worked 37 years professionally and worked with chemicals that normal people deem nasty, hazardous, toxic, poisonous, and self-igniting in air. Things with names like elemental phosphorus, diphosphine and phosphine, hydrogen, carbon monoxide, hydrogen cyanide, sulfur dioxide, caustic soda, hydrofluoric and phosphoric acids, and the always present high voltage. Each has its own hazards, all known to be controllable and routinely dealt with in chemical industry practices. I have worn fireproof coats and pants, rubber boots, face shields, rubber gloves, high voltage gloves, and respirators as needed to deal with each hazard posed. Now I deal with salt, which is comparatively tame under room conditions. However, as you might guess, it too can be hazardous, even poisonous, if used inappropriately. I now help U.S. Salt as their process engineer make food and pharmaceutical salt at as high of a volume and as economically and efficiently as possible. I'm proud to say that I came in 2001 when U.S. Salt was running poorly, and as part of a small core team, nursed it back to full health, assuring that those 125 jobs at the plant would remain and be stable for the employees and this community. I have watched the Watkins Glen scene with direct interest now for 10.5 years. I came during the period when Walmart wanted to enter. Some were afraid of and against the change that implied then. Time seems to have proven that we did not suffer too much, though I admit I myself do miss the Ace Hardware store and now Henderson's Pharmacy being conveniently downtown. In that time, I have witnessed considerable changes to our local situation. The tourists, wineries, and events for multitudes seem to just multiply. I have not heard objection to these noticeable changes. Yet, a person concerned with negative effects would argue that nutrients from people and agricultural pesticides are the greatest threats to Seneca Lake's clean water. Professor John Halfman's studies of Seneca Lake point that out and warn of possible eutrophication threatening in 20 years or so. Therefore, an appropriate response to that concern would be to send the tourists back where they came from and ban vineyards and ag operations within the Seneca Lake drainage basin. Now, don't get me wrong, as I am not actively advocating that. Only pointing out that if you're going to be against change, banning tourists and wineries would be a good thing to promote. No, rather, I note that whatever changes may come, that a given person may like or not like, as the case may be, people as a whole adjust to them in a relatively short period. Life goes on. Thus it is today with the proposed change to go back to higher volume LPG storage in the area with the installation of the proposed 2.1 million barrel Finger Lake storage facility. More capital investment to the tax rolls, more jobs, and more complexity in the local economic machine will be the expectable result, and an overall good and desirable result. On September 27th, NYSDEC will hold a public hearing to ask one simple question. Is the draft environmental impact statement adequately complete to be satisfactory? If the answer is yes, then a permit to install the facility will be the result. If no, who can predict how long further wrangling will take, as it has already taken 2 years of multi-cycle questions and answers to get to the 115-page document that we have now. You may obtain and study this document if you desire. I know Debbie Cox of the Planning Board produced a number of copies for her Planning Board members, and perhaps they are the appropriate group to act as your agents to look into the details. And I realize that each of you might not like to study those 1,500 pages individually. Now here's where I would ask the legislature to advise NYSDEC that in the legislature's collective estimation, this document is assessed as adequate and no further requirement should be added to further delay the project, and encourage NYSDEC to proceed with haste. This letter of support should be addressed to, and I give the address, although there have been noisy voices heard on TV and in print decrying this change, we, the silent majority, recognize that proceeding is the appropriate step and encourage the legislature to give that support. Thank you for your consideration.